and Finance Director Stuart Sillinger, and I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I'd also like to thank South San Francisco Scavenger Company for sponsoring the event, and before we get started, I'd like to introduce some VIPs. From City Council of Brisbane, we have Councilmember Terry O'Connell. Is Councilmember Lentz still here? Cliff Lentz? No, he took off. Okay, so, and then of course we have Mayor Clark Conway, who you will be hearing from in a few minutes. We also have San Mateo County Supervisor David Canepa. David. And from State Senator Jerry Hill's office, we have Elmer Martinez. Elmer. Thank you for being here. We have Chamber of Commerce board members. I'd like you all to stand up and introduce yourself if you're on my board and let people know who you are.
Christopher Gello with Recology. Dan Carter, Land Medical Construction.
Thank you all so much. So we try to do this every year, and we've done it at the Doubletree several years. We've done it here several years, and we try to get it close to the people so people can walk in, drive in, and hear what the mayor has to say, what the finances of the city look like, and support the staff of what we do here in the city. The chamber is set up to support the businesses, support the citizens, and try to be a bridge between a business community that cares, a citizenry that cares, and city staff that care. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Clark Conway, our mayor, and he'll start the presentation. Clark?
Thank you, Mitch.
Okay, can you hear me in the back? Okay, very good. Yeah, Senator Hill called me this morning and said that he really wanted to be here, but he was in Hawaii. I said, well, bummer, Jerry. I wish I was there too. He started laughing. He goes, you're a smart man. So, this morning my wife, when I got up, she said, honey, you need to get a haircut before you do this tonight. I said, okay, yeah, you're right, I will. So this afternoon, my granddaughter said, Papa, I need some jazz shoes. I said, no, sorry, I got to get a haircut. She goes, no, but I need the jazz shoes. And I said, okay, well, if you could beat me in arm wrestling, I said, we can get your jazz shoes. Well, I'll tell you what happened, but I didn't get the haircut, so. Okay, these are your notes here, Mitch. Okay, let's start off with community building, all right? First thing we got up, are you going to turn the screen towards me there? Or are we going to, so I can see the slides. I don't have eyes in the back of my head, and it's hard to turn around. Anyway, so on community building, our volunteer of the year is Nancy Coleman. And, Nancy's done a lot for the community throughout the years, and she's the one who started, the Helping Hands, Brisbane Village Helping Hands. And it wouldn't exist today without Nancy, and so she was our volunteer of the year, and, we've had numerous volunteers. Every year it's been somebody different. And, these are folks that get out and do things for the love of Brisbane, not for accolades. And eventually we have a city council subcommittee, of which I'm not on, who chooses a volunteer of the year along with the recreation department. So this year it was Nancy Coleman, and we honored Nancy at the community festival and also at the last council meeting. And go next slide. And this year also at our last council meeting we had mayoral accommodations for the arts, and we had Kevin Fryer, who's in the audience tonight, Camille Salmon for Brisbane Dance Workshop, and Beth Grossman for doing the the annual Artist Evening of Sharing, and Kevin's with the Live at Mission Blue, which is done for 15 years now, and all of these folks that we want to do accommodation for. We have a lot of great artists in Brisbane, but these three really stood out about really bringing the community together, and we wanted to recognize them this year. So we recognized them at the last council meeting, and we think that's great on building community. And these artists, when you see them, tell them congratulations and thank you for making Brisbane a better place. Next slide. Also, we have G3. Yeah, G3. People that want to make Brisbane downtown better, and they do it through beautification, and they volunteer their time and a lot of times their own money when they first started. And they wanted to beautify Brisbane, so you see all the flower pots and things like that they put up. And most recently, the mural on Julie's Deli. That was done by Brisbane artists, and we had a visiting artist from, I forget, Southern California or somewhere that really helped facilitate this. So, where was it? Yeah. So anyway, you get a chance when you go by Julie's, take a look at it and just stare at it. It's kind of like the one at Midtown Market, you know, and these are really great projects that we have in Brisbane. Also, we have, which was just approved this year on our budget, which is the History Subcommittee, which is a video project that we're doing. We're going to do a living history, and this is going to be displayed in the history room at the new library that's being built. And we're going to get history from folks who've lived here for a few moons, and you know, hopefully we can get some of our seniors who've been here for a very long time and capture their stories, and that'll be part of the history room in Brisbane and be displayed, and students can check it out when they want to study things about Brisbane. Those parts that are not done in the political history of Brisbane, but just the spoken history and the living history of Brisbane. Going on to our schools, our second BES, Brisbane Elementary School modular, has been installed. That is a rental right now, and in a couple years we're going to be installing one that we're purchasing, and this is going to increase the after-school kids and also the preschool that we have. So it allows kids to go from their class or after school directly into a recreation department without leaving the campus, and that's really good for the kids in town. And it's really good for the parents because they know they have a safe place to go, especially the working parents or single parents, you know, that are working, that they know that their child's being taken care of and they have a safe place to go. So we'll be able to handle more capacity. And also we're continuing to support the Littman after school program. This is something where the city actually puts in $50,000 a year to this, and these are after school classes that the kids can take. There's a ceramic club, a hiking club, construction engineering club. They have cooking classes, guitar classes, and I think there's also coding. And you know, there's a few other classes. They change it up, and Girls on the Run, you know, class that the young ladies get to run, you know, and it's actually a national movement. So we actually did this in lieu of the teen center, which kind of fell by the wayside back in the 90s. It was the only thing I ever dedicated, the only building I ever dedicated in Brisbane as mayor. I've been mayor 5 times. It was the only one I dedicated, you know, as mayor, and we tore it down. I go, what a bummer. But, you know, things change. So, you know, in this case, we thought, well, how do we get the teens involved? And so we involved the school that usually we lose them in the high school age. And so we wanted to capture the junior high schoolers and felt that was best place to put the money. So it's working in collaboration with the schools. In high school, now here's a high school bus. This is has to do with Samtrans. It's a pilot program right now. I don't know if you recall back 1995. A lot of you weren't here. Some of you in the room weren't even alive. So, you know, Jefferson High School District Superintendent Mike Crilly came and wanted to know if the city can make a $5,000 donation towards sports, specifically with Jefferson High School, because they didn't have funding and a lot of kids weren't being able to play sports. So we did. We donated it, but then decided, well, you know, let's do something more. And so eventually we put it into a resolution where we would donate up to $65,000 a year. That would be for advanced placement classes, computer labs through the whole district, and other special classes, along with extended library hours at Terra Nova, and a late bus for Terra Nova for those kids that wanted to stay late in the library or play athletics in Terra Nova. It's because the majority of the kids at the time went to Terra Nova. That went on for years till about 2010, and all of a sudden it morphed into a bus service only. And so the city contracted with CYO, and the reason this happened is because the state legislature pulled the funding for the buses, and so Jefferson Union High School District decided that they're no longer in the bus service, and it kind of left Brisbane kids hanging. So we wanted to do what we could at the time, so we diverted those funds from sending to Jefferson only to provide a bus, and we did for Catholic youth organizations. That lasted 2 years, and then they didn't want to do it anymore. Then we were scrambling to find companies that would help, but a lot of them didn't want to deal with the city of Brisbane because we were a city where we're not a school district. And eventually we asked the school district, can you guys take this over? We'll provide the funding. And it got up to $200,000. We said, this is not sustainable, and we're not going to do this anymore. So a lot of parents got together and said, what do we do? What do we do? And then staff helped, and even the school district helped, and went to Samtrans board, and said, can you redirect some routes? And so that did happen. And this year is the first year of the pilot program. So Route 24 goes Brisbane to Jefferson to Westmore to Shasta, and then Route 49 extends the bus service for Brisbane students going to Oceana and Terra Nova. So hopefully, we know that Measure W, which was just recently on the ballot, and right now it is failing, but by about a percentage or two, and we don't know what's going to happen with that, but we hope that this bus service lasts, because the city of Brisbane is not going to be able to do it. We're going to move on to capital improvement projects. Here we have our water main replacement project. For those of you who are affected, know about this. Those of you who aren't affected probably don't know about it because you didn't get the mailing. But anyway, this is going to improve the water pressure, and also for fire. And we've had some very devastating fires in the state of California just most recently, and still going on. So this is really going to help improve our aging system. And this is one of the things that we had passed the bond on a couple of years ago. So, our new library is coming, and fall 2019. I think this is going to be very exciting. This is going to be a very spacious library compared to what we currently have. It's almost 3 times the size, and it's going to be very functional. We're going to have a history room in there, and I think everybody's going to love it in the community. It's going to be right there on Main Street. If you don't know where it's at by now, maybe you don't live here or go on Main Street at all, but just go up there. It's driving up the hill on the left-hand side, right there next to the Eagles Hall. So it's going to be a great project, and really look forward to the opening of this. So I think kids do too. And we have the city's first fast EV charger. Okay, EV stands for electric vehicle. We like to use acronyms, right? And that was installed down at the Brisbane Village Shopping Center, and it's a quick charger. So if you have an electric car or a hybrid plug-in, that's the place to go. And we did a pilot program for about 6 months that allowed for free charges, but now you have to pay, but not much. Okay. And our roof-mounted PV system, which stands for photovoltaic, which is solar, and it's up here now. And I don't know what the percentage is offhand, but I'm thinking it will provide at least up to 60%, but we're going to evaluate it as time goes on, and we'll put those numbers out, of course, either on the Brisbane Blast or on the website. and all printed documents that we have as time goes on. So we're excited about getting that up there. That was a long time coming, and but we'd planned for it 12, 13 years ago. So it's finally here. And the statewide issues on transportation, we have the Caltrain electrification. I don't know how many people take Caltrain on the weekends, but if you notice that you drive up Tunnel Avenue, that all of a sudden on Saturday and Sunday there's a whole lot of buses and a whole lot of people. Well, that's everybody that's going to San Francisco or from San Francisco that's going down the peninsula. Is they have to close out the tunnel to do some of the modifications on the weekends to move towards the electrification. So electrification's a real exciting thing on updating Caltrain. It's been a long time coming, and I myself am excited about it because I think we're going to move a lot more people using electrifying Caltrain. But the trains are still not going to go all that fast until they have grade separation from San Francisco all the way down to San Jose, and that's going to be a while before that happens. But they can do up to 115 miles an hour if they. Statewide issues, we have cannabis, and recently we allowed for medical, non-medical marijuana cannabis businesses in the city and commercial districts only. These aren't walk-ups, wholesale places or commercial retail places. These are a little bit different business model. The council at the time has decided not to pursue like some of the walk-ups, and that may change at a later date, but right now we're not, and we'll probably be looking later on this year, not this year, but next year, maybe at looking at how we might be able to tax some of these businesses. So, economic development. In Crocker Park, it's about 96% occupancy rate right now. And thank you, Mitch, for that. I mean, doing what you do as our director. Also, at 7000 Marina, we have a new business that's relocating its corporate headquarters. That's Sangamo. And they're real excited about being in Brisbane, and they have a really, really dynamic public art project that they're doing. And I haven't seen it, but according to my subcommittee from the council, they're very excited about it. So I can't wait to see that. This is a building that's been totally repurposed. And there's another one here somewhere. I missed over one, huh? Okay. And we have the construction of 2 biotech buildings going up. If you go down Marina Boulevard on the right-hand side, the furthest to the South City side, you have 2 buildings going up from HCP, and I think at full build out that'd be a total of 5 buildings. Yeah. So Brisbane's starting to fill out. It's only been 35 years since we started doing that. And is that it? God, that was quick. Okay, I got one more thing. So before we get Stuart up here, we're going to show a quick video, and this is done by an intern that we had this summer who did the video, and a young man was in filmmaking, and so he put together this video about Brisbane, and I guess Mitch is in it a little bit, and some of our businesses, business owners are here or in this video, and it has to do with come to Brisbane, and you know what a wonderful place this is to do business and also live. So his name is Johnson Shao, and without further ado, after the video, Stuart will come up.
Welcome to Brisbane, also known as the City of Stars. We're the northernmost city in San Mateo County. We're located just south of San Francisco. Here in Brisbane, we have a long-standing tradition of environmental activism and stewardship of the land. We love the mountain, the bay, and all the scenery. I mean, look around. How could you not just love it here? The city is completely surrounded by the stunning and sweeping slopes of San Bruno Mountain. That separates the Pacific Ocean from the San Francisco Bay. Our most recent housing development is called the Northeast Ridge. A popular facility here in town is the community pool. It's a great place to get some exercise, meet your neighbors and friends, and just hang out. Hey Stuart, how you doing? Well, how are you? I'm doing well. Did you notice the solar panels? The solar panels keep the pool at 80 degrees year-round. Great place. Brisbane's also home to Silver Spot. Silver Spot's our co-op, nursery, and preschool for our youngest residents. They love it here. The city partners with the Brisbane School District to offer after-school programming at both Brisbane Elementary and Lippman Middle School. Here we are in the middle of Brisbane, in the downtown section. This is Visitation Avenue. It's our traditional main street, and it has a lot of mom and pop shops such as Brisbane Hardware, Julie's Deli, The Burrow, and Manhouse Coffee. By the way, Julie's may have the best sandwiches on the whole peninsula. Let's keep walking. Now we're in Crocker Industrial Park. It's home to about 200 businesses with about 3 million square feet of office and industrial space. You might know some of the businesses: Lima Electronics, Dolby Labs, Byright Foods. The Sierra Point Business Park offers stunning views of San Francisco Bay and a multitude of Class A companies. We have companies such as eBay, Stella & Dot, Ultragenics, and Sangamo Therapeutics. We also have hotels such as the Doubletree and the Homewood Suites. And here at Sierra Point, we have the Sierra Point Yacht Club, a world-class marina, and we're on the San Francisco Bay Trail. It's a great place to take a walk, exercise, or go sailing. The community park is the center of town, and it really brings the business community and the citizens together. This is where everything happens. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our tour and walk around to Brisbane. We're 10 minutes from the airport and 15 minutes from the city of San Francisco. It's a great place to live, work, and play. For more information, visit our website, brisbaneca.org. Thanks so much.
All right, that's very well done. Yeah, good job, Mitch. Got to be on TV. So you know what? I had a lot of questions about the election, and specifically about Measure JJ. You know, out in the lobby, a lot of people were talking about it, and I seem to have skipped over that part. So let me talk a little bit about the election results and stuff and what's happened in the county. So currently, specifically with Measure JJ, the results are coming in very slow, and that's true with the whole county. Okay, right now the county has 399,595 registered voters, and of that, 274,000 roughly votes have been returned, both paper ballots and electronic ballots. Okay, of those, only 144,000 have been counted. And so in Brisbane, you have like 918 votes, somewhere like that, have been counted. Of that, 481 votes are yes on JJ, 408 votes are no on JJ. So right now it's 73 votes separate the two. My personal opinion on what's out there, I think there's another 800 to 900 votes that have not been counted in Brisbane. This is my personal opinion. This is going off the county numbers. Also, I thought we would have pretty much historic numbers. I felt going into it, it would be at least 1,800 people out of the 2,740 registered voters in town would vote. This was a hard-fought election on both sides, and I think probably everybody's house in Brisbane, their door was knocked on 2 to 3 times. With that, 27 people so far did not vote on JJ at all from Brisbane. And it's either they were confused or conflicted, or they didn't realize there was a back page on the mail-in ballot. And that happens. So when I was first elected in '93, you had the results at 8:05. Efficiency has waned with the mail-in ballots, where more people do vote. You know, historically, Brisbane's always kind of been on the high side. Right now, we're at 33%. So we don't know. We don't know what the results of JJ are, regardless how it turns out. Because it being so hard fought on both sides, we need to come back together as a community and work together, however JJ turns out. So with that, Stuart, come on up and give us the fun part.
It may have been the first time I ever heard anybody say the finance part is the fun part. Thank you. Oh, darn. Yeah, this way, yeah, talk about finances. But you saw I swam too, so not only do I talk numbers, I also swim. So the first thing I want to talk about was just where we've been over the last few years. So what I have here is the projected revenues versus the actual revenues. As you can see from the chart, we've actually taken more money than we anticipate every year. And I think part of that is I'm fairly conservative when it comes to projecting revenues. I don't like to project revenues until I know that we've actually have them in hand. So for instance, when Stella and Dot opened, it was anticipated they would bring in $200,000 to $300,000 in sales tax in the year, but I didn't budget for it because it hadn't happened yet for us. So we usually do very well with revenues above expenditure or above projections, except when you have a recession, as you see in 2011, which was the last year of the recession. In expenditures for the city's general fund, I try and also budget a little bit conservatively. I budget as if we're going to spend every dollar, and the departments are very good about only spending what they need. So oftentimes we come in under projections. As you can see, that's happened for a number of years for us. Making sure I'm actually flipping the slides as well. So how has the general fund balance been over the years? The general fund balance has grown, as you can see, from 2004-2005 to 2014-15. It grew by about $5 million, and that's even during that recession that we had. So, and that's a lot has to do with the City Council, making sure that as we went through the recession, they made sure we did not spend more than we were taking in. And I think that a lot of credit goes to the City Council for making sure that we were able to provide the services. And during that period of time, we worked very hard to ensure that the services that people received in the community were the same. I mean, the pool hours were the same, the police was able to respond, the fire department was still there. You know, we cut back a little bit here and there, but mostly that got cut back was in upper management. We eliminated one of our department heads. We eliminated the assistant to the city manager. So we did a lot of those kinds of reductions, which we hope did not have a large impact on the residents or the businesses. And then, as you can see, between 14-15 to 16-17, we've eaten into fund balance. And the reason is that we've had a number of things that we had to catch up on after the recession. So the City Council put $1.4 million into capital projects. Clark went through some of those that we have approved. We also have put $1.2 million in OPEB trust fund. OPEB is just a way to talk about a benefit that the employees receive after retirement. And as you know, through the pensions, that a lot of the after-retirement types of programs are not well funded. So the City Council has taken it on themselves to put money aside to make sure it's able to be afforded, so decisions in the future are not impacted by what happens today. And the City Council wants to really make sure that that happens, is that future councils have the ability to make decisions without having what they've decided today impact them. We've also put money aside in the motor vehicle replacement fund. During the recession, we stopped replacing our motor vehicles, and that was something that the City Council recognized was not in their best interest, that during recession, that may be when you need to replace your vehicles. So what they did is they said, we'll set aside enough money to replace the vehicles, and we'll put money aside every single year, so when a vehicle comes due, we can replace it and not have an impact on the community. Big one is, of course, police cars and the fire engine. Fire engine is a $600,000 to $800,000 expenditure. So you want to have money set aside for that when you have good times, so when the bad times happen, you're not sitting there having a fire engine that isn't working because you can't afford it at that time. We also put money into facility maintenance fund, and that's to make sure that our facilities are maintained. Again, that's usually one of those things that when you're in a recession, people reduce how they do their maintenance. City Council recognized that and put money aside so that way when we do have a recession, they can still maintain it. And we've also put money aside into the pension trust fund. And this is the big issue that I'm sure everybody has heard about, is that the PERS is about 70 to 73% funded, which means that the city is about 73% funded in our pension, which is going to cost the city more money going forward. So what the City Council has decided to do is start putting money aside today, so that way their decisions in the future won't be affected by how the stock market does with PERS. Talking about the city's general fund, the fund balance over the years, the City Council also made a decision to rethink the way they do their fund balance. It used to be the goal was to have about 50% of our expenditures in fund balance without really having a definition of why we would do that or when we would use it. The City Council a number of years ago decided that they would take a more business-like approach to their fund balance. And they said, what are the reasons that we use our fund balance? What do we use our savings in the bank for? And it's very much like what regular people use their savings in the bank for. You have an unanticipated event, you need to have savings for that. For us, an unanticipated event could be something like an earthquake, but we would never say that, because if we said that publicly, FEMA would not reimburse us if we had money set aside for earthquakes. But they do have $3.5 million set aside for unanticipated events. Also, the City Council said, how did the last recession impact us? How much money did we lose during the last recession? And we lost about $2.4 million due to the recession. City Council made the decision they did not want to have decisions during a recession get impacted by not having money in the bank. So they've set aside now it's up to about $2.5 million, because what happens as sales tax grows, so does our need for a higher recession contingency. They also set aside money for a budget reserve. So what the City Council does is set aside 5% of its revenues or 5% of its expenditures in any given year. Because you never know, in any given year something might happen. You might have something goes on at the hotel, and our two hotels produce about $2.8 million in revenues for the city. So if a hotel goes through a remodel, it's not a long-term impact for the city, but it could be a one-year impact for the city. So we have about $2.5 million set aside for budget reserves, and then we have undesignated reserve, and it started, at $6.4 million, and we whittled it down by putting money into other reserves, and at the end of 16-17 we had about 3.1. And the reason I'm showing you 2016-17 numbers, part of it is that our fiscal year goes from July 1st through June 30th, which is different from a calendar year, and we're still working through our 2018 audit, so I don't have the actual numbers for that yet. But we did do, from what we're seeing on our preliminary numbers, we ended up a little bit better than we had anticipated. And that was, I've tried to make my presentation really short. If you want to hear my long one, I do about 2.5 hours for council during my budget. Next time.
Anybody have any questions? Boy, that's great. All right, let's go home. More wine out there. Sorry, kids. So really, anybody want to ask any questions? It's okay. Steward chair. They'll answer them for you. No questions. First time that's ever happened. Okay. All right. Oh. Sorry, Sharon. Time's up.
Oh, no, really? When the results do come in, Are we gonna have another announcement or talk from the city about what our next steps are beside a council meeting?
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely, put something out in print, but, everybody can go on to the county website. It's called shapethefuture.org, and you can see what the results are. And it's supposed to be the next update's supposed to be Friday at 4:30 p.m. And then it's supposed to be daily after that. I don't know. The way it's going right now, we're not going to know until December. But I think, if I understand it, by law, they're supposed to have the election certified by the first week of December. And so I think this is a learning thing for the county also, because my colleague Terry was telling me she was looking at on election night at the people counting the ballots, and it looked like it was in slow motion with two people, and that's kind of about what the results are too, is two people doing it. And so I don't know, it's kind of hard to get information out of them, because you don't want to be accused of tampering or anything like that. So if you want to know if your vote has been counted, regardless of how you voted on, or statewide or whatever, there is on the website, the county website, shapethefuture.org. You can go on there and see if your ballot has been counted yet. My wife and I put ours in on Monday afternoon, and has not yet been counted. I know some people put it in Monday morning, and theirs have been counted. But when we were putting our ballots in the box, we saw them carrying the box out of the ballots from Monday morning to the weekend. So if you want to find out, just go on the website and see if your ballot's been counted. But we'll update as we go along, and once we get the final results, we'll formulate what the next steps are at this point. So, but the biggest point is, regardless how it turns out, yes or no, is that we need to come back together as a community and work together. So, any other questions? Terry? Oh, that's just not fair.
Gonna put you on the hot seat here. No, I just wanted to acknowledge when Supervisor Canepa was here earlier that he worked with the city council and the school district on the bus extension.
Yeah.
And I wanted to acknowledge that work that he did. And he also worked hard to get some extra Measure A funds for the library.
The funding for the library, yeah, the extra $300,000.
I just wanted to give acknowledgement that our county representation really does matter.
Yeah.
And that it's something that the parents of the students may need to reach out if Measure W fails, to reach out, and there's probably going to be more work that needs to be done on the bus situation with the county.
All good points. Thank you, Terry, for that. Yeah.
My only comments there, and thank you very much.
No, thank you. Yeah, that's good stuff to fill in, because a lot of people don't know that. So, yeah. Any other questions? Well, thank you for coming out. So Mitch is going to say goodbye, and there's still wine left, and
First, we have a certificate for Clark for doing the State of the City. We couldn't do it if the mayor didn't participate. And then Teresa, you come up. Thank you, Mitch. Thanks, Clark. We've done a few of these. Huh? We've done a few of these. Yeah. A lot. So, Chelsea Scavenger is our sponsor, so we want to recognize them in front of everybody as well. Thank you so much. And with that, we can close it. We have lots of food, we have wine, we have coffee, and I really apologize for putting you guys through seeing me on video. Well, the first time I saw that on the big screen, that was so scary. And we thank you. I'm glad you're here, and let us know if you'd like us to do it again here next year versus the DoubleTree. It's just two different ways of doing it. So thank you so much.